In the first century, there is no doubt that the epicentre of philosophy in the whole world was in the town of Athens, and at that time it had evolved into two main streams of thought, Stoicism and Epicureanism. Then in 51 CE, a Jewish man called Paul arrived, excited and enthused about an event that took place in the backwater town of Jerusalem 21 years earlier. I was in Athens recently, checking out the sites, where I saw, among other things, the Areopagus.
I'm at the Areopagus, where Paul gave his defence of the Christian faith to the Epicureans and the Stoics.
You see, Paul had been talking about his faith in the Agora at Athens, the local shopping centre, meeting place, philosophical debating place. Had received some attention, so had been taken to explain himself and his faith to the Athenian council, which met at the Areopagus. What would philosophy think about Christianity? As I sat there listening to John Dixon, the leader of our tour, a professor of ancient history, theologian and podcaster of the Undeception series, talk about the incident, I had this crazy idea. I thought, how good would it be if I could interview the Epicureans and Stoics that had interrogated or interviewed Paul back then? Well, anything is possible on social media. So today I have with me Draco, who I understand is an Epicurean. Thank you for inviting me. And Hermolaus, who I understand is a Stoic. Yes, it's a pleasure to be here. So, Draco, what do Epicureans believe?
Epicureanism is an ethical doctrine that holds that pleasure is the highest good, and it requires moderation and wisdom to attain. I mean, eating food is pleasurable, but eating too much and you'll feel sick the next day.
What do Epicureans believe about God?
Well, we believe that gods exist, but they are not really interested in us or in human affairs. They are too tranquil to be concerned with the problems of this world.
And the afterlife?
Oh no! Well, there's no afterlife. I mean, when we die, that's it. It's annihilation. It's the end.
And Hermolaus, what do Stoics believe?
We believe that the goal of life is to align our human logos with the logos of the universe through self-mastery and detachment. We believe we have the faculties available to control our thoughts, emotion and actions. But it's up to us to use that power wisely.
What do Stoics believe about God?
Stoics believe in a universal mind of reason that is present in all things, and that the physical cosmos is God's body. God is the guarantor of the Logos, and therefore life's purpose.
And what about the afterlife?
We believe death is not to be feared. We simply return back to nature.
So tell me about Paul. Why were you keen to speak with him?
Well, we wanted to know more about this strange teaching that he was presenting.
Well, I thought he was a babbler that seemed to be introducing some new gods.
Well, what, was he in trouble?
Well, yes.
Oh, no. Well, yes and no.
I'm sorry, I don't understand yes and no.
One of our roles is to ensure that all deities that are worshipped are those that are approved of by the state.
Oh, that's pretty serious, isn't it? Wasn't that the charge you made against Socrates?
Yes, Socrates was guilty of the crime of refusing to recognise the gods acknowledged by the state and importing strange divinities of his own. He was further guilty of corrupting the young.
Well, we Stoics think it was a great shame about Socrates.
We Stoics see Socrates as a role model and sage to emulate. Anyway, that is why we are very careful when we interview people like that Paul. What did you think of what Paul had to say?
Oh, he was just a babbler. He belonged to some sort of crazy Jewish sect. And when he suggested that Jesus, his God, rose again from the dead, and this Jesus could offer the same to those who choose to follow him, and that this Jesus was going to judge us all, well, I just couldn't help myself. I laughed out loud.
Well, I have to admit that I was impressed, though he didn't look much.
Nah, he was battered and bruised like he'd come out on the wrong side of a number of fights. An ugly bloke, really. Really couldn't see why so many people started following him. It wasn't because of his looks, that's for sure.
But he spoke well. He even quoted some of our own philosophers, works such as Epimenides.
Ah, yeah, from that poem where he proposed that Zeus was immortal.
Yes, they fashioned a tomb for thee, O holy and high one. The Cretans always liars, evil beasts, idle bellies, but thou art not dead, thou livest and abidest forever, for in him we move and have our being. And the Stoic philosopher Aratus.
Oh yeah, for every street, every marketplace is full of God. Even the sea and the harbour are full of this deity. Everywhere, everyone is indebted to God. We are his offspring. Some of us asked if we may meet with him further to discuss more. Well, I certainly didn't. But you wouldn't believe it. I heard that Dionysus, a member of the Areopagus, ended up joining his sect.
Really? So did you find him guilty of importing strange divinities of his own? Well, he claimed to be introducing us to one of our own gods. You see, we have an altar to the unknown God, and he told us that he wanted to clear up our ignorance on the one we had missed out on.
Yeah, a sneaky move, I'll give him that.
So what was his God like? Well, his God wanted us to change our ways and worship Jesus. This Jesus was going to judge the world with justice, and God gave proof of this by raising Jesus from the dead. So do you think that this Jesus, the God that Paul was talking about, will gain much of a following?
No, I don't think so, no.
Hard to tell, but we don't think so. No. It seems that their thoughts were a mixed bag. Some discounting Christianity outright, some mildly interested, and others who were won over by it. But if you go to Athens now, the temples are all in ruins. Interesting artefacts from the past. The town is instead now full of Christian churches, and the Areopagus is now nothing more than a tourist attraction with a large plaque on it that quotes the speech that Paul made there, that is recorded in the book of Acts, chapter 17. Christianity's march into Europe and its dynamic adoption by so many is truly a historical phenomenon. And today, a third of the world's population claim to be Christian in some way. So what about you? Will you heed Paul's message to repent and worship Jesus? Or will you join the ranks of the Epicureans and the Stoics, forgotten in time, a curiosity among the ruins, remembered as those who believed their reason was better than the revelation that Jesus was the real world ruler with the answers to life's big questions? If you want to know more, then give us a hoy in the comments below. And God bless.